Major rule change could be coming soon from the NCAA, allowing college athletes to profit financially while they compete. And that could drastically change the playing field. Here's ABC's Faith Abube.
Tonight, a significant step closer to what many college athletes have demanded for years.
Very excited. It's long overdue.
For players like Iowa point guard Jordan Bohannon, it's the opportunity to make money when third parties use their names and images. Mark Emmert, president of the NCAA, would recommend college sports governing bodies enact a rule change by July 1st, allowing just that, as first reported by the New York Times.
The NCAA has been dragging its feet for decades.
With Division I sports bringing in an estimated $8.5 billion a year, the NCAA has barred compensation for players other than scholarships and educational stipends, a policy Bohannon and other players have pushed back against this year around the hashtag not NCAA property.
Majority of athletes are minority, and most of this revenue that's being brought in by these athletes is being redistributed to the coaches and the head administrations in these athletic programs. The fact that the athletes haven't been able to see any of this money is the civil rights issue.
And what also driving the NCAA in this is the fact that many state legislatures have already passed or are considering laws that would allow student athletes to cash in on their talent and popularity. Whit?
Faith, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
All right. So you heard it here that the NCAA is considering changing its rules so all college athletes who play for the NCAA will get paid. Now, the way the rule change would be is that it's not really the NCAA directly that would pay college athletes, but to give college athletes the chance to make money off of endorsements in order for them to be able to get paid from third-party companies who would use their name, facial image, or their jersey number to advertise for a product and get paid for it. So that's the rule change that the NCAA or the National Collegiate Athletic Association is thinking of doing. Now, there's a couple of factors that have influenced the NCAA to consider making this rule change. One is due to the fact that a lot of athletes, especially a lot of athletes that play college basketball, are leaving the NCAA early in order for they could go to the professional ranks and make money. Thus, the NCAA is thinking of making this rule change in order to, as a way to convince more of its basketball players to actually stay in college longer. So the NCAA is not doing this out of just sincere consideration and care for its players. They're doing that as a chess move in order to try to keep more players to play within their league. Because let's just keep it real here. If you guys are actually aware, if you guys are into college sports and you're informed about college sports, you would know that the NCAA make the majority of its revenue through two main sports: college football and college basketball. Especially when it comes to its college football bowl games and the NCAA tournament, and even the NCAA conference tournaments that they play each year in both of these different college sports. You know, the other sports in the NCAA don't make as much money for the NCAA as basketball and football would do. But the thing is, in these two main sports that the league make most of its profits from, either a lot of the athletes are leaving college early, or that there's threats of other rule changes for so either more of its athletes from these two sports could leave college early or not go to college at all. Let me give you this one factor. Like I said before, in the NBA, there's this in the NBA have a one and done rule in which any player to be eligible for the NBA draft, they have to enter the NBA draft a year after they graduate high school, which means that a blue chip high school basketball prospect is able to play college basketball for only 1 year, and they're eligible to leave and go to the NBA after 1 year of playing college basketball, which is what a lot of players have done. And what that does, it diminishes the level of talented players from the NCAA. Thus, those talented players that could sell tickets and provide a lot of television revenue would be cut short very fast. That time span that the NCAA have in order to make as much money as it can from its most talented players will go away very fast, because these college basketball players are leaving the NCAA at a snap of a finger just after 1 year. And not only that, in the NBA, the NBA is considering to make another rule change by 2022, in which they could once again accept players or draft players coming straight out of high school. So that one and done rule that the NBA currently has would actually be diminished by 2022, possibly. And not only that, in the NFL. Now, the NFL currently, the rules for the NFL draft is that a player, in order for a player to be eligible for the NFL draft, they have to graduate high school 3 years prior to them entering the draft. So a prospective NFL draftee cannot enter the NFL until 3 years after they graduate high school. But ever since 2019, there have been talks of the NFL having their own one and done rule, where they could reduce the time of potential NFL draftees from playing college sports. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, if the NFL do end up having this one and done rule, then that means that the most talented football players that would play for the NCAA, which is another main sport that the NCAA make a lot of money from, would leave college real fast for the chances of playing professional sports and make a lot of money, which means that the NCAA will lose even more talented athletes that help the league generate the billions of dollars that they do. So I'm giving you guys these things because the NCAA have been losing money and in the verge of losing more money. So as a business move, the NCAA is finally thinking of paying its college athletes, because the main reason why a lot of its college athletes leave the NCAA real fast or not even enter the NCAA was because of financial reasons. A lot of these athletes, which are mostly so-called black males from these two main college sports, Of course, they come from a lot of them come from a background of poverty. Therefore, they're desperate to utilize their athletic talent to make money on a professional level. Therefore, they're more likely to skip college or spend very little time in college and leave and go to the draft for the professional rankings. And you even have another factor, another threat to the NCAA. When it comes to one of its main sports that the NCAA make a lot of money off of, which is these international professional basketball leagues. A lot of these international professional basketball leagues, a lot of their scouts are actually going to these high school basketball games and are signing high school players, or waiting for these high school players to graduate high school to sign them. Therefore, a lot of these top-notch blue chip high school basketball players who could have potentially gone to the NCAA, they have another opportunity of playing in the professional league and skipping college all the way. Because in a lot of these professional basketball leagues overseas, they don't have a one and done rule. So what I'm trying to say is that the NCAA has had a whole lot of competition when it comes to the talent that they need in order to keep their league or their company alive, because the competitors are grabbing up their the same talent that the NCAA rely on to make a lot of money. Why? Because the competitors are paying the target audience or the target market a better price. So when it comes to all this competition, that's when the NCAA finally decide to think of paying its players. And don't forget another factor too, is that in California, in the state of California, I think this became law in the state of California last year, in which the state of California gives college student athletes the right to make money if they attend college and play a collegiate level sport for any of its universities and colleges in the state of California. Therefore, basically, to make the long story short, any college athlete that play for any school in the state of California have the opportunity to to earn endorsements from any company who think of utilizing their name, their image, their jersey number, what have you. So the state of California give college athletes in California or who attend college in California the right to make money. And there's other different states who are considering adopting that rule. So that's another reason that the NCAA is saying, as a league altogether, saying, fuck it. We're just gonna give all college athletes across the country the right to make some money. So the threat of competition and also pressure by different U.S. states give their student athletes the right to make money through endorsements is then finally given the NCAA as a whole the idea of saying, oh, wow, maybe we should be paying our players. So what I'm trying to say is that, in my opinion, the reason why the NCAA is considering to pay college athletes has nothing to do with any sincere care of its own athletes. It has nothing to do because they sincerely just want to pay these college athletes. It's because of pressure. They're facing a lot of pressure and they're losing a lot of money anyway, because there's a whole lot of other different corporations and entities who are grabbing the same players that the NCAA wants to keep to make as much money as they can out of them. And they're facing pressure from other local U.S. states for athletes to get paid. Why? Because the more people that get paid in different U.S. states, the more people are going to be taxed. So the U.S. states will get some money off of the taxes. So the U.S. states have a reason to want their collegiate athletes to get paid, especially during this pandemic that left a lot of states in the U.S. broke. So it's all a money grab. It's all business. Because if the NCAA was sincerely decided to pay its players, just out of the sincere care of the well-being of their players, then they would have done that shit. Then they would have paid their players money 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when so many top-notch blue chip high school basketball players was skipping college and going straight to the professional leagues, to the NBA, and playing in the NBA. And there's even, I think that there's even top-notch high school football players that did the same thing until the NBA and the NFL agreed to change their draft eligibility and say that, hey, listen, in order for players to be eligible to be drafted in our league, you have to spend this time away from graduating high school, which then left these top-notch blue chip high school players no choice but to go to college for some time. But now, when the NBA and NFL are thinking of changing their draft eligibility rules, because like I said before, sorry to sound redundant, the NBA, there's talks around the NBA to get rid of their one and done rule and go back to accepting drafting high school basketball players starting in the year 2022. And there's even rumors in the NFL, like I said before, to change their 3-year eligibility rule and have a one and done rule, in which, like I said, currently in the NFL, one of the rules for a potential draftee to be eligible for the NFL draft is that you could only enter the NFL draft if you graduated high school at least 3 years prior to entering the draft. But now there's rumors that the NFL wants to change that rule and want to have a one and done rule like the NBA currently has for their NBA draft. Once again, which means that if this happens, that means the top-notch talented players that the NCAA would have for a longer period of time would reduce, which means that the NCAA would lose money because a lot of their top-notch college athletes would leave college earlier. Thus, there would be less talented players that would be able to sell tickets for the sell tickets for the NCAA and create television revenue for the NCAA. So the NCAA are facing a lot of pressure, and are facing a lot of pressure, especially when they're already losing money. Because remember, the two major sports that the NCAA make money off of is its basketball and its football programs. So those two programs are threatened. They're in the threat right now of losing more money for the NCAA. What's going on, Jersey Hammer? Jersey Hammer said that, what's this? The sad problem is, as soon as the pros do that, the nanny status types will start crying about exploitation of those athletes, mostly coming from the colleges. Yeah. 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 Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, they're already complaining about exploitation right now. But like I said, this is all just a business move. But what I also believe is that it's a little too late. It's too late for the NCAA. If the NCAA would accept this rule change and officially allow its college athletes to make money, it'll be already too late for the NCAA to be able to keep its top-notch talented athletes in that league. Why? Because the NCAA is considering this rule change at a time where a lot of top-notch athletes from that play high school football and high school basketball, they're not especially from its high school basketball players, they're not looking at the NCAA college sports the same that high school athletes from the past is looking at it, because there's so much potential competition or opportunities that top-notch athletes from his high school level could have in order to enter the pros early, or not even enter, enter the pros at an earlier age, and where they could spend a shorter amount of time in college or not even go to college at all. The NCAA should have done this shit 20 years ago. 20-something years ago. Back during the 1990s and the early 2000s, when a boatload of top-notch high school basketball players was just skipping college and going to the pros. That's when the NCAA should have done that rule change and allows college athletes to be paid right then and there. Right then and there. Because if they did that right then and there 20-something years ago, then they're attacking the problem early. If they attacked the problem 20 years ago and did that rule change 20 years ago, they would have been successful in keeping some of his top-notch players for a longer period of time, thus making as much money as they can from the talent of these players. But now a lot of these young kids that know that they got the talent to play on a professional league just after 1 year of high school, 1 year of college, or could just skip college altogether and go to a professional league overseas, that they don't necessarily need college. That's the mindset of these kids, man. A lot of these young kids that know they got a lot of talent to play in these professional leagues at a very early age, they're just looking at college as like summer school. They're looking at it like summer school. Like it's a place I don't want to go to, but I have to go. But if I have the opportunity to not go there at all, I'll take advantage of it. That's how you're looking at college right now. So it's too little too late. So it's too little too late for the NCAA. Especially, let's just say this. Let's just say in the NFL, if the NFL officially has a one and done rule for its players to be eligible for the NFL draft, that's really it for the NCAA. That's really it. Because that's going to be a whole lot of money that the NCAA is going to lose. Because a lot of the top-notch football talent is going to leave college after 1 year. And the NCAA makes most of its money off of its college football programs, especially when it comes to their bowl games. That's why they have like how many damn bowl games do Division I college sports have? And when I mean college sports, I'm talking about the NCAA, Division I NCAA football have. They have like so many damn bowl games for its football programs, where the NCAA makes a whole lot of money from. Jersey Hammer says, hell. Well, he said, Jersey Hammer says, all it is going to take is one sob story about a kid coming out of high school, getting drafted by the NBA. Then that kid doesn't make it. There will be collective screams. Oh, that have already happened. That have already happened. Tons of times. But then again, the NBA could just say, hey, listen, you knew what you was getting into before you got into it. You chose to sign a contract in which you know that signing an NBA contract would means that you're no longer eligible to be a college athlete. You know, all that. Said, hell, the NCAA just needs to stop with their bullshit rules governing athletes that normal students don't face. A regular student can have a patron put them through school. Yeah, that's true. A college athlete cannot. Exactly. Although with football, I can see a lot of 19-year-old kids getting severely hurt when they are getting hit by a 27-year-old 240 pound. Yeah. Yeah, with football, you got 4 BCS and a bunch of minor ones. Yeah. Yeah, there's 4 BCSs and a bunch of minor ones, but the NCAA makes millions of dollars off of these bowl games. So imagine if the NFL change its draft rules and have a one and done eligibility. That a lot of these football players will leave college early, go to the NFL draft very early, which means that the NCAA will lose a lot of money off of their football players leaving early. What's going on, the glorious one? What's up? He said, peace wacky in chat. They should have been paying students athletes when Ed O'Bannon won his case. Yeah. 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 You know. Yeah. So, like I said, it's all a business move with the NCAA. But it's too little too late. It's too little too late for the NCAA to try to make a new rule in order to convince its top-notch basketball and football athletes to stay in college for a little longer. Because that's really the reason why the NCAA is considering changing its rules. That's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, that the NCAA is considering changing its rule to pay college athletes, because they want a way to convince mainly its college football and basketball athletes to stay in college a lot longer so they can make as much money as they can from the talent of these athletes for as long as they can. I mean, think about it. Oh, yeah, especially now in the NBA, where there is a minor league farm system in the NBA, which is the NBA G League. It's a minor league farm system. So just imagine this. If there is an eligibility rule change in the NBA where they'll go back to drafting high school basketball players, right? Those high school basketball players don't even need to go to the NBA right away. They could just go to the G League and start there. They could be 17, 18, 19 years old. And for the amount of time that they could have spent in college, they'll spend in an NBA minor league team, which is the G League, and then go to the NBA and still get paid. This is what's done in baseball. In Major League Baseball, that's how it's done. Think about it. College baseball is basically, I mean, it still exists, but it's not even relevant when it comes to sports. It's not. I mean, when have you ever read the sports pages in the newspaper, and you hear and you read this school won the college baseball national championship? Like, when do you hear that actually being relevant? Because of the minor league system, and because the Major League Baseball, they don't have like an age limit. Well, not necessarily, like they don't have an age limit that's akin to the NBA draft and the NFL draft. So, a top-notch baseball player from high school, after he graduates, he can easily go and play for the minor leagues. He get drafted by a major league team. That major league team would have that 17, 18-year-old high school graduate play in its minor league farm system for a few years to develop him. And then he gets ready to play in the majors. And that system that the Major League Baseball had completely decimated college baseball. And this is what it might do if the NBA change its rule in 2022 and accept drafting high school athletes again. Especially now when you also have, like I said before, professional basketball leagues overseas who have scouts coming to the United States, watching high school basketball players in the United States, and offering them a professional basketball contract after they graduate high school. I mean, hell, there's already NBA players who got drafted in NBA who never played in college basketball. I'm talking about even after the NBA had the one and done rule change, like Derek Favors from the Utah Jazz, who which I think was stupid. He dropped out of high school and went overseas and played professional basketball overseas for a few years before getting drafted in the NBA. Of course, you have LaMelo Ball, currently a rookie who plays for the Charlotte Hornets, who for the past couple of years, who played professional basketball overseas right after he graduated high school. He didn't even go to college. Which you also had a player named in the NBA named Brandon Jennings. I don't know if you guys remember him, Brandon Jennings. He was a top-notch prospect when he was in high school. He was supposed to play for Lute Olson and the University of Arizona, but chose to skip playing college. And he ended up signing a basketball contract in Italy for 2 years before getting drafted in the NBA. So there's even ways, although the NBA one and done rule that was established in 2006, in my opinion, was intended to help the NCAA to keep some of its so for the NCAA could have a piece of its top-notch basketball talent before they go pro, for they could still make some money. Even though that was intended for players to, spend some time in college, there's still other ways around that. And there's threat of that going away in 2022. Thus, the NCAA want to make these rule changes when it's too late. It's too little too late, man. It's now when it's too late. That's when the NCAA is considering of finally paying its college athletes. Man, please. That just reminds me somehow in so-called Black America. When you got Black American males who understand their options that they have when it comes to finding female counterparts overseas or anywhere outside Black America. That's when you finally have a rising number of Black American females saying, oh, I'm submissive, I'm against feminism, I'm the good woman. And it's like it's too little too late. So that's why I view the NCAA right now. The NCAA is in the same predicament as the ADOS female. It's when it's too little too late, when the target when the market that you're targeting are seeing plenty of options that they could open up and have and benefit off of way more. That's when you're considering an improvement, when that should have been done a long time ago. So the NCAA right now is like is the ADOS females of the sports world. They're the ADOS female of the sports world. Yo, it's like when when players have opportunities to either not fuck with you or to spend as little time with you as possible, that's when you're thinking of changing. How come the society's like that? I hate that shit. I can't stand the fact that society in general is that way. In which what I mean by that is that when people are not treated fairly, and people for years are screaming, hey, listen, some things need to change because we're not treated fairly when this is happening to us, when we're doing this, it's not fair to us. Then it's like for so many years it gets ignored. But then when these people cry, and the same people who say we're not being treated fairly, when they find another opportunity to go to, when they get better treatment, that's when the entity or the person who's treating the other person unfairly say, okay, now we're going to make a change. No, it's when you're not wanted or not needed anymore, you want to change. It's almost like you're working for a company, right? You give your hard work. You're working hard for that company. You're working your ass off. But then your hard work is not really being appreciated because A, you're not being paid a fair pay. Your raise is shitty. Like what you get, like let's just say hypothetically speaking, every year you only get a 10-cent raise. You're not getting a promotion. Then you as an employee who knows you're treated like shit and who understand your value, you find another opportunity to work for a company that will give you a better pay, put you in a better position, and you earn a much more higher raise. So you go and sign your letter of resignation at your current employer, right? But then, and you tell your current employer you found a better opportunity. That's when your current employee want to say, oh, you know what? We'll pay you more. Stay with us. We'll pay you more. But by then, it's too little too late. You've already been tired of the mistreatment that your current employer is giving to you, and you find better opportunity elsewhere, and you're going elsewhere. This is what I see when it comes to the NCAA. They finally want to change its rules and consider paying its college athletes at a time when a lot of its college athletes are finding other options to display their talent and not need to go to college. And the NCAA, refuse to pay its players for years. Like, listen, for like 2015 to 20 years, you had people that say, hey, listen, man, college players should get paid. College players should get paid. Well, fuck it. You know, you had people like Kobe Bryant and LeBron James say fuck, and Kevin Garnett saying fuck it. Fuck going to college. I'm going to be I'm going to be the top notch in the NBA draft this year. Fuck, I need to go to college for. I'm going to the NBA anyway. Fuck college. I'm not getting paid in college. Why go to college for this much money, this much years, not get paid a dime, possibly get injured? That would ruin my chances of going to the league when I could go to the league right now. The NCAA, you did a big mistake when you decide to not pay your players 20-something years ago, when you could have solved that problem decades ago. That would avoid the situation for being to where it's at now, where the NCAA, you guys are losing a whole lot of money because a whole lot of your top-notch athletes are leaving college very early and they're not even staying. Why? Because they got opportunities to make millions of dollars. Get out of here. Jersey, him, what you said? You said what? The main problem is that the NCAA still had to pander to the college presidents that wanted to keep the air of hypocrisy of them being education institutions. Yes, that's true. That's true. It's presidents, a lot of the presidents within these colleges, and even people within the NCAA, they want to keep on they want to keep on promoting this idea of amateurism. Oh, we have to keep the level of amateurism to the way it is because these players are amateurs. We have to maintain the principle of amateurism and respect the rules of amateurism. Man, let's keep it real. If you are a Division 1A athlete, okay, if you are a college athlete who play either college football or college basketball for a Division 1A school, and when I mean Division 1A school, I'm talking about the Duke universities, the University of North Carolinas, the UCLAs, USCs, Michigan State, University of Michigan's. Those are top-notch Division 1A college programs. If you play either football or basketball for these programs, you are not an amateur. You are a trainee for the professional ranks, okay? It's like going to training school. Or trade school. I said training school. What the fuck? Trade. It's like going to trade school. It's like going to trade school. When you are trade school, you are being prepared for being a professional at the trade that you're studying. That's what the NCAA is. It's a trade school. You know. What's going on, Dante Deshawn? What's up? Jersey Ham said, "Can you pick me up a spicy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A?" Oh shit, you funny. Jersey Hammer said, "Trust me, I was a recruited college football athlete, and they love keeping rules on our heads, supposedly for our own good." Oh, okay, yeah. If you D1, you're good. Yeah, if you're D1, you're good. It's a trade school, man. A D1 college, especially a Division 1A college, that's a trade school for the professional leagues. Whether domestic or foreign. Hell, I go as far as to say this. The Division 2 college rankings is a trade school too. Because the professional leagues, especially the basketball and football leagues, they damn signing and drafting Division 2 athletes. Hell, even Division 3 athletes in the NCAA are getting signed professional contracts. Come on, it's a trade school. You're a damn trade. You training for a trade. Okay, you're not an amateur. Shoot. So for the NCAA to maintain this dumb ass, fake ass, phony ass rule for years, talking about amateurism, nigga, please. You ain't no fucking amateur. Shit, that was meant for my wife. Okay. Oh, your wife was a NCAA college athlete also? What sport did she play, Jersey Hammer? Shoot. You have a lot of Division I college basketball players that never played in NBA, but they went overseas and made a whole lot of money. Didn't one of the top QB pucks come from the FCS school, Division I AA? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Shoot, there's tons of great college basketball players that played professional basketball overseas and made a hell of a lot of money. So even especially when it comes to a sport like basketball, there's so much professional options open. And when you play in the Division I league, you don't make it to the NBA, you could go in Italy. You go to the FIBA league. The Federation of International Basketball Association. I think that's what each letter in that acronym stands for, FIBA. That's one of the top-notch professional basketball leagues in the world. Now you got China, the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association. Hell, the Chinese Basketball Association and the FIBA League, a lot of players in the NBA leave the NBA early, go to these leagues, the CBA in China or the FIBA leagues out in Europe or Latin America, go there and make a true. What's going on, man? Sorry about that. I'm back. Yeah, soccer players have a lot of options as well. Yeah, Dante just showing you're correct. Yes. Baseball players got a lot of options. Soccer players. Jersey Hammer says in college basketball, hell, Oral Roberts, which is a minor D1 school, made a run in the tournament. Yeah. So a mid-major D1 school or a minor D1 school, if you're a college basketball player who played for a mid-major or a minor D1 school, you still got the opportunity to play either in the NBA or play for any of the professional basketball leagues in other countries that are just as competitive as the NBA and make a killing. So, like I'm saying, the NCAA is at a situation where it's too little too late, to the point of the fact that even if they change its rule officially allowing its college athletes to get paid, it's too late now. It's too late now. The NCAA have placed themselves for years in a position where other sports leagues can scoop up the same players that the NCAA have been targeting, offer these that members of these target audience or the target market more money, thus increasing the chances of these players not needing to go to college or not needing to stay in college. What's going on, Lowcast? So it's going to be like this. The way I view college sports in the future is going to end up being it's going to end up being like basically college sports is going to be a league where the least most talented players are going to play, thus not going to spark any interest for people to watch on television or to even enter the games and watch them. Once again, look at college baseball. I mean, every year there's a college baseball tournament that's played on television. And a lot of people don't watch it. A lot of people don't watch it. Why? Because because everybody in the baseball world know that the best of the best young and up and coming baseball athletes are playing in the minor leagues. They play in minor league baseball. They're not playing in college. So when you're watching college baseball, you're watching players that's not good enough to make the minor leagues playing. And nobody wants to see lackluster talent on television. They want to see the best talent on television. That's going to be the future of college basketball and eventually the future of college football. Especially in 2022, if the NBA decide to change its eligibility rule and go back to drafting high school basketball players. The Glorious One says Zion Williamson made a lot of money for Duke in 1 year. He surpassed his scholarship. Yeah. And you already know that the only reason why Zion Williamson went to college, and RJ Barrett, and what's his name? Cameron, the other guy that played for that Duke team that ended up getting drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. The reason why these three players actually went to college is because they had to. That's it. College is looked upon like summer school. You know how summer school is. If you had to go to summer school, you don't want to go to summer school. But if you wanted to get to that next level, you had to, right? That's for the kids that didn't do shit during the regular school year. They had to go to summer. You get what I'm saying. Yeah. Or like I said, the NCAA is the ADOS female of the sports world. Where it's going to be where the only ones who's going to accept being with them is the ones who's settling for less. No, I can't say that because common sense is that not all ADOS females are this way, or not all ADOS fit the description. Excuse me, not all ADOS females fit the description of a female that you must settle for. But what I'm trying to say is that that's the image that the black manosphere want to promote when it comes to the ADOS female. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying. You get the picture. Dante Deshawn says Zion was probably scouted by the NBA when he was a junior in high school. You never know. Maybe. I'm surprised that Zion Williamson did not go the international route. Because I'm sure I know that when he was in high school, I know as a fact that there was tons of scouts from international pro leagues that was attending Zion Williamson's games and who probably was offering him a contract after he graduated high school. But he chose to go to college for 1 year, which, there's nothing wrong with that. But you know damn well, if the NBA did not have that one and done rule, players like Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, Lonzo Ball would never even go to college, man. Jersey Hammer says that with the NCAA, they will still have their alumni audience, the degenerate gambler audience. Yeah, yeah. And in some states, like those in the SEC audience, so they will make their nut regardless. Yeah, they will make their nut, but not as much. Oh, yeah. They will make their nut, but not as much. Not as much. See, the thing is with a lot of these southern states, these SEC states, and even these Big Ten states in the Midwest, a lot of them, they follow, they are like big fans who follow the top-notch recruits from these colleges ever since these recruits was in high school. So they follow them, and they're big fans of them. So an argument could be made that, hey, if these top-notch players that they follow ever since high school only play football for college football for 1 year, assuming that the NFL changed their draft eligibility rule to a one and done rule like the NBA, hey, they'll have no reason to watch college sports or college football, I'll say, in that case. An argument could be made by that because a lot of these hardcore fans from Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, even the Midwest, Ohio, Michigan, they are staunch followers of star players ever since these star players played in high school. So now, if these top-notch high school players are leaving college very early or not even going to college at all, a lot of them might not have the desire to watch the college sports. Maybe the hardcore fans of these teams, like the hardcore Florida State fans, maybe the hardcore Duke Blue Devil fans, maybe the hardcore Alabama Crimson Tide fans, maybe the hardcore Texas Longhorn fans. Maybe they'll still watch college sports because they're hardcore fans of that team. Maybe the hardcore Michigan State or University of Michigan, the Michigan Wolverines or Michigan State Spartan fans. Maybe the hardcore Indiana Hoosier fans. Those hardcore fans of their college, these college teams, or like you said, Jersey Hammer, the alumni, yeah, they'll still be watching college sports. But I see that if the NFL and the NBA make these rule changes, the number of fans of college sports will be cut drastically. Yeah, the degenerate gambler audience, yeah, they'll still watch. Just imagine if the NFL have a minor league system. Oh, shit. If the NFL, let's just say hypothetically speaking, if the NFL, and I don't think the NFL would ever do that because having a minor league system would be too dangerous. Because a player playing too much football games, which is very hardcore contact sports, it's not good for someone to have played too many football games in the season or in a lifetime, because that'll be too much contact. So I don't think the NFL would ever set up a minor league system. But let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if they did and then change their draft eligibility rules to one and done, shit. That'll cut the living air out of the NCAA, man. Jersey Hammer says, living out here in Ohio, many would follow Ohio State if their players were all second-tier high school athletes, as long as there was a parity. Okay. Oh, man, I've been speaking for too damn long. Yeah, man, but like I said, the NCAA is considering making rule changes in order for college athletes all across the United States can make money off of endorsements. So the NCAA is not going to directly give a paycheck to its college athletes, but they'll allow its college athletes to get paid off of endorsements. Oh shit, how did I look at it? If the NCAA do that, they'll kill two birds with one stone. The NCAA would not have to pay the NCAA directly would not have to directly pay its college athletes, just allow other corporations to pay its athletes. So therefore, they won't lose money out of paying their athletes out of pocket, but at the same time, find a way to convince their athletes to stay in the NCAA through getting paid off of third-party companies like Nike, Pepsi Cola, Gatorade, Spalding, whatever, Adidas, Reebok. Oh shit, that's smart. That's smart for the NCAA to do that, because they killing two birds with one stone. But like I said before, it's a little too late. Especially if the NCAA, if the NFL and the NBA change its rules when it comes to their draft eligibility rule, making players either eligible for the draft at an earlier age or making players that directly graduate out of high school eligible for the draft the same year. It's man. I think that's it. But you know, like Jersey Hammer said, it's hardcore fans, it's hardcore college sports fans will still watch it. But most of the college, a large number of its college sports fans that exist now will not exist in the future if the NBA and NFL make these rule changes concerning this draft. Well, not for nothing, most football players been playing since they were 14 or even younger. Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah. But yeah, they play ever since they were 14 and younger. But if the NFL, what I'm trying to say, Jersey Ham, is that if the NFL created its own farm system, I mean, you increasing the chances of, like you said before, 17, 18-year-old kids or 19-year-old kids who are not fully developed getting knocked the fuck out by some 27, 28-year-old who's in their prime. And then they end up going to the NFL at maybe 2021, thus getting knocked out by some 30-year-olds. What I'm trying to say is that if the NFL created a farm system, that's just going to open the doors of even more injuries and more concussions and a higher chances of players getting the disease CTE, in which the NFL don't give a fuck for it. But like I said, if you openly increasing the chances of players getting these things, and that open the doors for potential lawsuits, because we all know that football is an extreme contact sport. I think that's the reason why the NFL never had a farm system, because that'll just totally increase the chances of injuries. But what I'm saying is that imagine if they had a farm system or a minor league system, like baseball had a farm system or a minor league system, That'll definitely destroy the NCAA. But yeah, that's all I have to say concerning this topic. Yeah, that's all I have to say concerning this topic. So all right, man.